The majority of people would say they don't believe in ghosts and demons, but usually there is an event in our lives that changes this. Sometimes something so scary happens you have no choice to believe, so we are back with part 3 of the top 5 real demons who contacted the living. Let's jump into it. Coming in at number 5 we have HappyBirthday. A young family moved home into a house that they were aware someone had passed away in. The old man had died unexpectedly of natural causes when he was in his mid-40s. He passed away right in the middle of the living room. The couple had a daughter who was 2 years old. Soon after they moved in, she began to speak about ghosts that live in the home. Halloween had just passed and they thought she was just being an impressionable child. Her favorite book at the time was a Halloween-themed picture book. They assumed the talk of ghosts came from reading this book so often. She was always telling them stories about the ghost in her playhouse or playing on the stairs. She would even point to them in the corner of the room and tell them he was standing there. She was never afraid of the ghost, so they didn't seem concerned about it. The mother told the ghost that he was welcome to stay, but also that he was welcome to go if he wanted. They figured if he was a happy, friendly ghost, there was no harm in it. The couple were unsure if they believed the ghost was real until one day. It was a cold, rainy day and they were getting ready to go to daycare. Their daughter said that the ghost was out on the back deck. She said, "It's the ghost's birthday today. We need to sing him happy birthday." Again, thinking this was her obsession with birthdays, they sang along, wishing the ghost a great birthday. As they were leaving, the little girl made a comment to her parents. He said, "You guys should be careful, or the bad guy might get you guys too." This comment seemed a little off. She had said only positive things regarding the ghost so far, but this seemed like a sinister warning. After they dropped her off at school, they looked up the previous resident. The mother was shocked to find out that it was his birthday the day he died. She didn't believe in ghosts, but how would the little girl know this? His death was unexpected at a young age, so he could be warning about something sinister in the home. If there was already one ghost, it could be there was something not as friendly, also able to communicate with the family. Coming in at number 4 we have ShadowPeople. Auspicious, the Reddit user, often suffers from eye migraines. She explains that this means she doesn't feel the pain of the migraine, but she often sees shapes and auras in the room. There was one day when she knew a migraine was coming on for her. She started to see shapes like shadows around her room. She didn't think anything of it at first, as this is something that she has experienced many times. But she noticed one of the shadows was not moving around her eye like the others. This one resembled a man against the wall. She suddenly felt a cold breath on her neck. She moved her hand to feel it when she felt like something grabbed her hand. She ran out of the room, terrified. It was hard to deal with the situation and run while she was dealing with the migraine, as it can affect your ability to move around. She called her boyfriend to come around and explained how terrified she was. He looked around the room and sat in the room alone for a while to make her feel at ease. He felt no presence or paranormal feelings while he was in there. She was adamant it was a demonic presence. She felt the cold breath chill her whole body and she had no doubt. She refused to ever sleep in that room alone ever again. Coming in at number 3 we have Premonition. This one is more of a helpful contact than a bad one, but is so crazy that it deserved a spot on the list. It happened when a young boy was 7 and his brother was 4. They were with their mother in their car. They were on their way home like they would on any other day. He was playing with his brother in the back of the car as they usually would. They pulled the car into drive and suddenly felt the air go cold. Their mother's expression dropped as if she had just seen a ghost. She slowly turned to look at her children and told them to remain silent and not to move. Being young, they didn't understand and asked what was happening. She said they needed to be quiet for a little longer. She suddenly reversed the car off the driveway and drove away as fast as she could. She rang her husband, who was a cop. She told him to get to the house now. He was attempting to ask why, but she just adamantly told him to do it now. She drove around for a little longer, scrambled by what had just happened. All the while, the children had no clue what was going on. She finally drove back home and pulled into the driveway. There was a man being handcuffed and taken away. As they entered the home, the cops and her husband wanted to know what happened and what she had seen when she pulled onto the driveway. What she said stayed with the young boys. She said she didn't see anything. When she pulled onto the driveway, she felt an entity with her in the car, and they told her a premonition that someone was waiting for her outside of her home with a knife. That if she did not turn around, he would pull out a 12-inch blade and force the family into the home. They told her she needed to take her children and run, or something tragic was about to happen to all of them. The detective and her husband were speechless. They had just arrested a man outside of the house matching the exact description she gave, and he had on him a 12-inch blade. She still doesn't know who the entity was or why they would warn her about the fate of her family, but she was forever grateful and in shock about what had happened to her. Coming in at number 2, we have Ouija Board. Just in case anyone needs to hear it, never use a Ouija board. This story started when a group of high school kids decided they would go to an abandoned building with a Ouija board on Halloween. It is said that on Halloween the barrier between the living and the other side is thin, meaning that more paranormal events can happen. It is easier for spirits and demons to pass over to the living realm during the night of Halloween. The group of kids decided they would go around 3 AM on Halloween to try and connect with the spirits. Being kids, they were not completely prepared for what might happen. They had done a little research on using a Ouija board, but they were not prepared for what happened. They arrived and prepped for their game. They lit candles and all joined in a circle. They asked if anyone was there. The pointer moved and it said yes. They asked a few more questions, but nothing was clear to any of them. The movement became erratic and the pointer flew off the board and all of the candles blew out. They all became scattered and they forgot to close out their game. If you don't say goodbye, you risk inviting any spirits back home with you. Although they were spooked, they figured it may have been a prank by one of the group. They laughed it off and all went home. The real horror came later once one of the boys went to sleep. He said something happened to him during the night. He woke up feeling uncomfortable. He described his vision as feeling like TV static, a feeling of heaviness surrounding him. He looked around the room and that's when he saw a bloody and charred face with red piercing eyes looking at him through the window. When he saw the face, it smiled at him. He then heard a voice in his ear, like the demon was right behind him as he sat up in bed. The voice said, "You wanted to talk to me." The boy ran from the room as fast as he could. He stayed awake until daylight. He returned to his room and saw no sign of the demon. He called his friends who all had bad experiences that night as well, but each different. They were all shaken and vowed to never use a Ouija board again or even speak of that night. And finally, in at number 1, we have Old Skin. This one might at first seem like just a bad dream, but it turned out to be much more terrifying than that. One Reddit user told the story of a bad dream that she had had once. She had been having this dream every day for about a week. It started with her being lost in the woods. She didn't recognize the location. She was approached by a decrepit old man. He wore a big coat and a top hat. The shadows made it hard to make out his face. He referred to himself in the third person. He told her that his name was Old Skin. After he introduced himself, a pack of wolves would appear from nowhere. He would say to her, "Old Skin's gotta get away from the wolves." The wolves chased him through the woods as she followed. Eventually the wolves caught him and he continued to narrate what was happening. He spoke in a monotone voice and said, "Old Skin is being eaten alive. Old Skin is going to die." She then wakes up. She has the feeling like she is falling and then wakes up in a sweat. The weirdest part about the dream is that when she finally spoke to her brother about what had been happening and why she had not been sleeping well, he turned to look at her and asked, was his name Old Skin? He then went on to explain how he had been experiencing the exact same thing. They were both shaken. They couldn't understand how they could have a shared dream. The only explanation they could find was that there may be demon's energy in that home. They both sleep in the same house and you're most vulnerable when you sleep. They believed it was a message from the demon to them. Once they said his name out loud, the demon never haunted their dreams again. I wonder what might have happened if they had both kept their nightmares to themselves. Well, there we have it. Do you guys agree with that list? Which demon scared you the most? Do you believe in demons? Leave us all your thoughts and feelings in the comments down below and perhaps we can do a part 4. Before I go though, I just want to respond to a few comments from one of our last videos. Top 5 real people scarier than demons. Cobra Raptor said, really seems like a great series beginning, please make more videos on this. Maybe I will, maybe I won't. I do what I want. I do what I want to do. I make me happy, I don't make you happy. Mcron said, true crime is pretty much the reason why I no longer fear ghost stories. True crime makes me fear everything, but I enjoy it so much. It's like my comfort viewing. Escape from reality, but also it is reality. Could happen at any point. I don't like it, but I love it. Love it, but hate it. Fred Jones said, more Lucy McPhee, please. Absolutely, I'm here, and I'm willing. Frank Andreas said, Lucy's back, no thanks, go back. No, just because you said that, I'm going to be in more videos. I'm going to be in every video. You're going to see me for the rest of your life. I'm going to haunt your dreams. I'm Old Skin Man. And on that note, if you haven't already, be sure to give this video a big thumbs up, and until next time, I'll see you later.